What's going on, guys? I'm coming to you from the Big Black Beanbag. If you saw my room tour, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm here to talk about the Record Store Day 2021 lists. There's two lists if you didn't see the drop. So like last year, RSD was split into multiple drops. Not three like last year. Instead, we're getting two. One in June, one in July. Now, what this means is that all the titles are split up between the two lists, so there might be one that you favor more than the other. And that's good, because that means you probably only have to line up for one as opposed to both. Now, there might not even be a reason to line up. It's a really interesting list this year, and on first glance, I was underwhelmed. I looked through the whole thing, and there was no, wow record that just hit me right off the bat. But I did look closer, and I went title by title, and I'm actually kind of surprised at how many titles are on the list that I'm pretty excited for. Will I line up this year? That's the question I'll answer at the end of the video. For now, I've been doing this pretty much every year, and you guys kind of seem to like this. And if you're watching this channel, hopefully my opinion means something to you. So I'm going to share with you the things that I think are worth noting, good, bad, everything in between. And of course, these are my opinions. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. But these are the things that I think if they're not on your radar, maybe they should be. Also worth mentioning is that for both days, I'm going to split it into two categories. The first being RSD exclusives and the second being RSD firsts. What that means if this is your first Record Store Day. Actually, let's backtrack a little bit. If you're new to this channel and you just stumbled on this because you heard about Record Store Day, RSD is an event every year where there's a special list of titles that come out and they're only available on that day, or at least until they sell out. So people tend to line up to try to get the titles before they are gone. Some are way more limited than others, and you can see the list on the RSD site, which is linked below, and you can figure out if there's any titles down there that you're really excited for. Now, I'll share more about my philosophy about how to get these titles after I go through the list. Let's just talk about the highlights. So like I was saying, RSD exclusives are going to be things that are exclusive for that day and likely won't be repressed, at least not in that exact colorway or fashion. And RSD firsts are things that you get a first crack at, but will be repressed. So very important to know that distinction to really kind of decide on if you're going to be lining up or waiting on a specific release or overpaying for a release, which hopefully you won't have to. So for June, a few things I want to get out of the way that are unnecessary in my opinion. The first being Black Sabbath, Mob Rules, and Heaven and Hell picture discs. It's not Record Store Day without a guaranteed picture disc that nobody asked for. I love Black Sabbath, but I don't know outside of completionists and collectors who's really picking these up. No one's like, I can't wait to spin Black Sabbath on a picture disc. That's not really a thing people say. So I guess this is just to frame up if you're a huge fan of that era of Sabbath. But again, just kind of a pointless clog up for the plants in my opinion. For MF Doom, the only showing on the list is his collaboration Czarface meets Metalface. And they're doing it as a 3-inch record, which is a absolute novelty for the mini record player they did a few years back, which was a way for them to try to print money off of collectors. Obviously, you're not going to be listening to that for Fidelity. It's a kind of cool collectible, maybe, but it's, I think, maybe the worst thing that MF Doom has done, and I love both Czarface and Doom on their own. So this, to me, seems like a really weak showing. People were hoping that after his untimely passing, there'd be all this sweet MF Doom stuff on the list, but as I was telling people prior to this video, it takes a long time for these things to get pressed. There just wasn't enough time to pop out anything cool. Maybe RSD next year, or maybe even Black Friday if we're lucky. But this release, why? And then Freddie Gibbs and Madlib Pinata 1984. They've been doing these era reissues of this album where they are changing the beat around to make it feel more like an album from that decade. I feel like for me, they're just kind of milking this release. Pinata is a good hip-hop record. I don't think it's as incredible as everyone seems to say it is, but we don't need 15 different versions of it. The director's cut, the 74 version, the 64 version. I don't know. It's just getting a little gratuitous for me. But those are my big gripes. Let's talk about the good stuff. Linkin Park Meteora is on the list. Finally, it got delayed. It was supposed to be on last year's. Everyone's excited for this reissue. It's an album I truly love. Landmark in the nu metal genre, if you consider Linkin Park nu metal. I have the gold variant from Hot Topic. A lot of people don't have it at all because it's out of print. It's on blue vinyl, which is kind of a weird choice with the cover, but worth mentioning is that it is an exclusive, so I would see a regular black repress happening down the road, but this might be your only chance to get the blue. Lupe Fiasco, Food and Liquor, Part 1 and 2. So 2 has never been on vinyl before, which is cool, and 1 is out of print, has been out of print for a little while. People love Lupe Fiasco. I like him on features. I'm not a huge fan of his projects in full, but I know hip-hop fans are going to go crazy for this, especially getting both tapes in one package. That's a pretty cool one. Rage Against the Machine, Battle for Mexico City. Iconic live show from Rage's repertoire. I think it's pressed on colors to match the Mexican flag. This is cool. I love Rage Against the Machine, and I any chance to get more of their material on vinyl, I'll definitely bite for. So this is definitely one I'm interested in. This is one of the ones that kind of shocked me when I went through the list and saw it on the second viewing. Slum Village, Fantastic Volume 2. Slum Village, if you're not familiar, is a hip-hop group featuring none other than the late, great Jay Dilla. So this is an awesome, underrated group that hip-hop heads love, but a lot of your average, music listeners have probably never heard of, even if you are a fan of Jay Dilla on a casual level. This album has been out of print for quite a long time, so this is a pretty awesome repress, and one that I'm happy to hopefully pick up on Record Store Day. I hope it sounds great. Do justice to the wonderful music that Dilla helped brought into this world. Tears for Fears, live at Massey Hall, 1985. This is a pretty iconic concert from their repertoire as well. As far as I know, the only vinyl pressing of this is a sampler that doesn't have all the tracks, and that sampler alone goes for like 70, 80 bucks if it pops up. So if it's the full concert, this is probably going to be a great one. I love Tears for Fears, and this would be a great record to add. I'm sure it's going to sound terrific live. And last for the exclusives is Tune Yard's Who Kill. I have the black pressing. I don't think it's ever had a colored pressing, and I think it's getting a splatter as I believe it's an anniversary of the album's release. Who Kill is by far the best thing that Tune Yards have ever done. Tune Yards is Merrill Garbus. She is a master of looping vocals and looping drums, and I've seen her live, and it's actually a spectacle to see. I highly recommend going. Unfortunately, I haven't connected with any of her recorded material since then. Who Kill, though, is a indie pop masterpiece, and it is a seminal album from my college years. I'm definitely going to grab this splatter just because I'm a collector, and it's such a good record. And now for some RSD firsts on the first part of the list, we have Ariana Grande with a live album. K-Bye for now is going to be a smattering of live songs. I'm not sure if it's one show or a collective amount of songs from different shows on a tour. I don't know what it is. I know Ariana Grande stands are probably very, very happy today. I am not a big enough fan to pick it up personally, even though I do like some of her songs, but I know a lot of people are stoked on this. Glitch Mob, Drink the Sea. So I believe one of my first record store days, Glitch Mob, Drink the Sea was reissued on vinyl, and now it's being reissued for, I believe, some sort of anniversary, but it's also featuring the alternate takes version of the album, which is a more ambient mix. I'm really excited for that. I do like Glitch Mob. Some of their stuff goes a little too close to the EDM world for me, and I'm more into the down-tempo ambient stuff, but I'm really excited to hear this ambient mix. I think Drink the Sea is a great album, so looking forward to that. I don't know if it's Majid or Majid, but Majid Jordan's self-titled album, I believe, is on Drake's label. Drake's featured on it. Awesome modern R&B record that has been out of print for quite some time. I will say this, it is RSD first, so if you miss it for some reason at RSD, you will likely have a chance to get it again. It's just cool that they're reissuing it. I know a lot of people want this. And a quick shout out to Mega Ran. Mega Ran 9 is getting a very limited run pressing. That's, I think, 500 copies. Mega Ran is an awesome underground indie rapper that kind of mixes video game influence and music into his rapping. He's a very talented MC, and Mega Ran 9 is a pretty great album, so if I do see this at my store, I'll definitely grab it. Cat Stevens, Songs from Harold and Maude. This is a very out-of-print soundtrack that Vinyl Films, an amazing label I'm a huge fan of, put out many years ago. All of the variants go for stupid money, so it's very cool that the wonderful Cat Stevens songs are now getting a second life with a repress. RSD first, though, so don't get conned into freaking out and paying hundreds of dollars in the aftermarket. You will seemingly get a chance to get a version of it down the road. And in the same world, the Stillwater Demos are coming out. It's an EP based on Almost Famous. The fake band in Almost Famous is Stillwater, and they have their big hit Fever Dog and then a whole bunch of other miscellaneous songs, and these are the demos of the fake band. So if you're a huge Almost Famous fan like myself, this is definitely a must-have. This one kind of surprised me. Tattoos, 200 kilometers per hour in the wrong lane. Everyone knows Tattoo's big song, All the Things She Said. It's running through all of our heads. I think that they are a really killer pop duo. I haven't heard a lot of their material. I would like to listen to this album in full before RSD because that song is a certified banger, and I hope that the rest of the album lives up to it. It's definitely something I'd be interested in adding to my collection. Never been on vinyl before. Pretty cool. And then this one was really exciting. Arthur Verocai, or Verocai. I, again, am terrible at pronouncing names. He is a Brazilian musician who has put out some of the best Brazilian music I've ever heard, and Timeless is a series where an orchestra performs his album or his music, and there's a couple other versions of Timeless, including another one later on in this list. But yeah, apparently he is a huge fan of this project, and I know the original goes for stupid money, so I'm really excited to grab this. And now for the July drop, not as exciting as the June. There are still some good titles, but nothing quite as bombastic. The only exclusive that kind of jumped at me was Czarface's Zara Noir. Czarface seems to have a release every single record store day, whether it's a 7-inch or a comic book that comes with an album or something like that. I don't know anything about Zara Noir. If it comes out for the right price, I might grab it, but I feel like this is also one that you could probably get for retail or just under retail if you wait a little bit. Now let's talk RSD firsts, which is a whole bunch of them, for July. The first one is Harold Budd. It's the soundtrack for I Know This Much Is True, which is something I have not actually watched, but Harold Budd is one of my favorite composers. He has a mastery of ambient music in a way that very few people do. He is a true bona fide legend. Even Lil Ugly Mane sampled him on one of his tracks. So Harold Budd is fantastic, just beautiful music. If you haven't heard this soundtrack, I listened to some of it today. It is, as expected, gorgeous. I'll probably be picking this up. He unfortunately passed away recently, so rest in peace to the legend. You will not be forgotten. And then I saw people getting excited about Gorillaz G Collection. For me, on first impression, especially since this is a RSD first and not an exclusive, this seems like a colossal cash grab. I mean, any Gorillaz fan at this point owns everything from the catalog that they'd want. Things have been in and out of print pretty regularly since they came out. And for me, only the first 3 Gorillaz albums were even worth their weight in salt. So ultimately, I think this seems like a bit of a cash grab. They haven't really announced what makes this box set special. I'm curious to hear more details come out for this, but this seems like just pointless. The box set I am interested in is the Party Next Door box set. Party Next Door, affiliated with Drake and OVO. He has a bunch of records, most of them out of print, going for hundreds of dollars. One, I think, that hasn't ever been on vinyl, and they're doing a box set of everything. This is really good kind of genre-bending R&B. I think this is definitely a box set I'm interested in picking up. Worth noting is it's RSD first, which means that if it sells on RSD, you'll probably get another variation of it down the road. So it looks like all of us who enjoy Party Next Door's music will now have a chance to grab it. 2 soundtracks that I know people are stoked for, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and The Life Aquatic. I am personally not really dying for those soundtracks, but I know they've been on people's lists. So very cool that RSD is doing soundtracks that are relevant and not just completely random things. As I mentioned before, Timeless is getting another version. It is the one they did for Jay Dilla. From Ma Dukes. So this is again an orchestra, amazing musicians performing Jay Dilla music. I'm gonna grab this and Arthur if I can. They both sound like awesome additions to the collection. And last but not least, it's not Record Store Day without another weird Vitamin String Quartet release, and this one actually has piqued my interest. It is Vitamin String Quartet doing My Chemical Romance songs. I'm obviously a fan of MCR, you guys know that. I think done as a string quartet, this music could be extremely beautiful. Their compositions on their own are really amazing. I'd love to see what VSQ does with it. I'll definitely have to give this a listen and hopefully pick it up. So the question that I'm posing during this video is it worth lining up? I'm gonna say no. I don't think there's anything that's an exclusive that is justifying lining up at your store for many, many hours. I'll probably go to my store around opening, see what I can grab, and then try to get the rest online. What I've noticed is there's a trend in the past few years, and I talked about this last year, where I would wait in line for 10 hours at a store and I would get my stuff and go home, and then for the next day or two I'd see those releases popping up, whether it was Discogs, eBay, or a local record store's online shop for the same price that I was paying, and I would be able to get them at the online drop, and I'm like, okay, why did I just wait all this time for getting something for barely a markup, if even a markup? And I'm worried that that's kind of becoming the trend of RSD, where the fun 5-6 years ago when I used to line up and, go for that one amazing item and make it worth the wait has kind of dissipated a little bit. And if you feel similarly, please leave a comment. I'm curious to hear if you agree. I probably am not going to line up, but I am more excited for this list than, I thought on first watch. And it's funny, going through my Facebook group, there are people that are just like, this is the worst list ever, and other people that are like, this list is amazing, and there's almost no in between. So I really want to know where you land on this. Leave a comment with the items you're excited for and your thoughts on RSD in general. Definitely excited to add some of these to the collection. Sad that there isn't a must-have kind of make me want to celebrate the holiday record on this list, but I do think it's a lot better than people are giving it credit, including me on first reading. Thanks for watching this, guys. As promised, the Amoeba video is going to be on Friday. Look forward to that. It's awesome. It's all ready to go. Happy Record Store Day, list day, and more videos coming soon. Take it easy.